Hi guys, I'm Lindsay Rago and I'm about to talk about a topic that's going to bring me way back to my past. I posed the question to my Instagram and asked if they would want to see or hear me talk about my abusive relationship that I had for a very long time, and I got an overwhelming response of yes, we want to hear the story. I don't really know how this is going to go. I'm a little bit nervous, not gonna lie, but let's get into it. I was 14. I was not allowed to date. That was not allowed in my house. I went to high school and I was rebellious and I did it anyway. And I jumped into a relationship with someone who, one of the first people who showed me affection and made me feel pretty, made me feel important. And I ended up completely falling for this person. We ended up dating for a grand total of 3 years, I believe, on and off, as high school relationships are. But so this one person, no matter how that relationship would have gone or what it would have been, that would have shaped my perspective on myself, on relationships, no matter what. Unfortunately, this person was not exactly stable. They ended up developing or having depression and bipolar disorder and a whole lot of other stuff that didn't come until way further down the line, but this is just kind of background so you know where I'm coming from. So I didn't know any of this and I didn't really have much self-confidence to start with. I was homeschooled, I was sheltered, I was always nervous to get into the social world and go to high school and whatnot. So I jumped into this relationship with this person and he was psychotically jealous. It's one thing to be like, oh, I love you, I don't want anybody else to have you, but it's another to say you're not allowed to say hi to this person. It progressively got worse. It started as like just him getting upset if I would talk to one of my guy friends or something like that, like in person, and I wouldn't really understand like why he was upset, but that was kind of the starting point. And I never was like, oh, why are you mad? It was more like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. And so I'd take the blame for anything and everything. And this was for the whole relationship, but that's where it started. I was just always not wanting to upset him because I wanted to make him happy and all that other jazz, you know, that people pleasers do. I loved people. I loved hanging out with people, getting to know people, and feeling like important and getting attention, like in just a love way. And that was just something that wasn't allowed. So anytime that I tried to make friends or be friends with guys, he would get really mad and not talk to me for a while or say that I'm like an attention whore or anything like that. And that was just so not the case. So that developed and we ended up fighting literally every day, every single day, bickering, saying like, fuck you, I can't believe that you are so like selfish that you would do that to me every day in high school. Like I remember I'd be at my locker and things would be fine and then somebody would walk by and be like, oh, hey Lindsay, and I'd say hey, and then he would look at me with this like evil, upset, angry look and then just walk away. And there would be a fight, boom. And I just didn't realize that this was not normal. I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought me wanting to have guy friends was so wrong. Every time that I talked to a guy, he would tell me it was flirting. Even if I was just like, oh, hey, how's it going? Like, how was that assignment? Or something. He'd be like, did you talk to person XYZ today? Did you talk? And I'd be like, well, I didn't like have a conversation. I just said hi, and then he wouldn't talk to me all day. And this was like very consistent for 3 years. The only times that were really good were in like the summers when I wasn't around people and I didn't have the opportunity to like hide who I talked to from him. If he didn't ask me and I didn't tell him who I talked to, like spoke to that day, he would be really like suspicious and weird, and I would start to feel really guilty because I had talked to a guy that day. He would text me and be like, did you talk to any guys today? And I would say, yeah, my boss and my coworkers. He'd be like, cool, awesome, and then not talk to me. And the next time he did talk to me, he'd say, well, you're talking to all these guys, like why would you want me? And it would go from anger to an upset, making me feel like I had inflicted that pain upon him by talking to somebody else. Let alone like if I were to text someone. And it went on like that and kind of progressed as I'm trying to progress through the story in my mind. We broke up a few times, and immediately he would grab another girlfriend for a week and then mess with my emotions so bad, and then he'd break up with her and he'd come back and say that he missed me. And I would feel important again, and I would go back and we'd date again. And he was also very like physically aggressive. He never hit me, but I was definitely afraid of that, which is really messed up now that I think about it. He would get really upset and he'd punch the, like one time I was standing up against the wall and he punched the wall right next to my face and told me that I was just not worth it. And yeah, and I remember like being outside, walking around outside on a path or something, and then he was like talking to me about something, and he'd get so upset and full of anger that he would just go and he would just beat a tree until his hands fell apart. He had actually punched things so hard that he broke his fingers just over me like being like, why can't I be friends with this person? I don't understand your reasoning. I try to just talk, and then he would get so upset and he would punch things like that and break things. And yeah, so, but in this time, never once was I like, oh, this person is crazy, this is not my fault, because I had no perception. I had no idea. I didn't know what was expected in a relationship. I thought, well, we love each other and this is just like the hard times. No, 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 no. If that's you, no, never. He would call me a bitch all the time. Not just like, oh, you're being bitchy. It was like, you're a bitch to my face. And I am the nicest person. I swear to God, guys, I'm a very nice person. I am not mean to anybody ever. And yeah, he would always call me a bitch to my face, or an effing bitch. Or he would call me a slut. He would call me any name you could think of. But then he would turn around and be the sweetest person and love on me and be like, you're the only girl in the world. You hold me together. I couldn't live without you. He threatened suicide a lot. Every time that he'd get upset or something wouldn't go well in his house, he'd have a fight with his parents or something, he would threaten to kill himself if he didn't have me. And so I felt stuck, and I felt important, but I felt stuck, which is a really scary place to be. So as a 14, 15, 16-year-old, that's how it was. And every time that we'd have like sometimes fights would be like 3 hours long, and I remember I would sit on my kitchen floor in my house at 16 years old and just sob and sob and sob, because I felt like I wasn't enough and I wasn't worth it, and there was just something wrong with me. And I remember my brother coming and like putting his hand on my back and being like, are you okay? And I was just like, yeah. And I just felt like I was never pretty enough that anybody else would want me, and he was the only one, and he wanted me, and he was handsome, and he was gonna take care of me, and we were gonna get married and have a happy life and family. And yeah, the thing is, like, he would do these really nice things like I was talking about. He would buy me huge like Valentine's Day presents, and then I remember the last time we had Valentine's Day together, he bought me all these presents, and then we had a fight the next day, and he was like, I just wasted all of my money on you. You're a waste. That was not worth it. Why did I do that? I regret that. And if there is one thing that makes you feel like you are worthless, it's that. I can't even remember. I think one time we had a fight, and I said, if you walk away, I'm done. And in my own head, I knew I was ready to be free from this. I was so ready to be free, because I felt trapped, and I was starting to understand that I did have some self-worth, and that I wasn't a bitch, and I wasn't a slut, and I deserved better. And it was just this deep internal thing that I didn't really talk to anybody about. Like, because usually that's how big things happen in my life. I don't talk to anybody about them, and then I just execute. And he was like, thought it would just be like any other fight, and he was like, oh, fuck you. And he walked away, and from that moment, I was done. Completely and totally done. We broke up, and we stayed broken up. And then, like he always did, he would be like, I'm depressed, I'm so sad, I miss you back, I wish things could be like they were. And I was at this point where I was over it. I was done. And that was 3 years of that. 3 years. Constant. I never got back with him after that. I supported him, like one of his parents passed away, and I was there for him, and I cared about him as a person. I cared about his soul, because he was so broken. And I was there, but I never went back. If this sounds anything like your relationship, maybe it's not that bad, maybe it's somewhere in between, you deserve to be treated like you are the most beautiful human being that's ever walked this earth. You don't need to be, or you don't need your hand and foot kissed, but you should feel loved, and you should feel confident, and you should feel trusted and trusting in your relationship. And it took me a long time to realize that I was worth it. I was worth somebody treating me well. And I had another boyfriend like a year later, and he treated me great, and he was so sweet. And even though we weren't meant to be together at all, like we didn't mesh as well, have that chemistry, but it was so nice to be treated well. And even through that relationship, I still would like restrict myself from talking to males in person or text or on assignments, anything like that. I would still restrict because I felt like I was wrong. I always felt like I was gonna do something wrong. I always felt like I was messing up. If something happened, it was my fault. It was always my fault. And that took a long time to undo, guys. I'm finally at a point with Brian where I feel like I can stand up for myself. If I feel like I'm right, we have a great relationship, but if I feel like I'm right, I'll stand up for myself. It took a long time, but there's another side, and you deserve more. You deserve everything. You deserve anything. You deserve love. You know who you are deep down. I can't harp it enough. You just don't deserve to be treated that like shit. Nobody does. If you are the person treating another, I'm surprised you clicked on this, but if you did, figure your own shit out. Be by yourself. Be single. Figure out what's going on in your head and in your emotions, because you can't love someone else if you hate yourself and you hate your own life. And so, speaking to the other side of this, if you're on the giving end, not the receiving end, you need to figure yourself out before you can be with somebody else, because you're gonna really mess that other person up. I share this because I want to speak to both sides. I want other people in this same situation to hear it, even from a stranger, and get out. Go be free. It's scary and it's lonely, but you will be free. If you're watching this, I love you. I think you're great. No, but really, if you need any help in this scenario, please reach out to me. I would love to talk to anybody who's been through this, who is going through it. I'm here. Thank you for watching. This is really deep, so hope it's received well. But if you liked this video, hit the thumbs up. If you liked the content I put out, hit subscribe. And come with me on the journey. There's a lot to uncover, and there's a lot more ahead. So, thank you guys. I love you.